Okay, welcome all to my Lean in RCM series of training documents, training platform. So every week we are meeting on every week Saturday 3 to 3:30 we are discussing on this particular denial. The hospice denial is a part of our eligibility denial, right? So what is the hospice? See, when you join the RCM, right, you would have been undergone the hospice or ESRD when you are starting attending the training. After that, you would have been forget because majority of the account is not going to handle with Hospice or ESRD. If anything you are going to get it newly, it will become a new challenge for you. So I thought of giving a refresher on the Hospice. So let us discuss what is Hospice. You know very well what is ESRD. The patient is going to die within the 6 months of period. So we will categorize them as a Hospice patient, right? So what we used to do. Okay, when the patient is, we'll take one scenario when the patient has 8 as their insurance. And when they are undergoing a treatment, the doctor will decide based on the diagnosis code, the patient in ESRD condition, or he is going to die within 6 months. So that is a trigger where the patient is going to be noticed as a ESRD patient. When the patient is becoming an ESRD patient, the doctor will give a complete detailed medical description for him, and the patient will go to the Medicare and submit that medical document to the Medicare, and he will enroll into the Medicare patient. We know that Medicare will be enrolled only for the 65 plus, right? That's a age limit what we have. Cutoff age is there. But when you come to hospice, there is no cutoff age. The patient can go and then submit their medical documents to Medicare, and they will become a hospice patient. So when they submit a document, and they will get a form which need to be filled by the patient. In that form, he has to specify which hospice treatment he is going to take a treatment and who is this hospice doctor. So for example, Dr. A, he's selecting as a hospice patient, and this will be get enrolled, and then patient will get a Medicare card. So once he get a Medicare card, what will happen? Aetna will disconnect the patient saying that patient is a hospice enrolled. So when you check the eligibility, you will find Aetna will say that the patient has a hospice, right? So in that scenario, what we need to do, we have to file the claim to Medicare only, right? They are the only insurance going to cover this hospice. Okay, so the patient is admitted in hospice. There are two things of treatment can happen. See, for example, Dr. A he selected as his hospice doctor, and he's admitted in a hospice center, right? For example, we'll take a treatment of related to cancer. The patient is admitted in the cancer center, that is a hospice center, and the treatment, if anything related to cancer, the Dr. A will give a treatment, but he cannot bill that to the Medicare. The hospice center will bill that to the Medicare and get the money, and then they will pay to the doctor. Unless you work on hospice center, okay, your billing is including the hospice center, this particular scenario you will never get. Okay, and second scenario, for example, patient is admitted in the cancer-related problem, and all of a sudden he got a fever. We will take a very simple scenario. He got a fever, and the designated doctor is not available in the town, right, in the city. So in that scenario, what will happen? Some other doctor will come and then treat the patient. And that bill, when you submit to the Medicare, they will pay it differently. Okay, you can submit a bill. Say, for example, you come across this particular scenario, right? You will bill your doctor who did a hospice treatment. So you have to submit a bill to the insurance company, that is Medicare, and you have to collect it. So in that scenario, there are two things will happen. See, if the patient diagnosis code, you have to check it, right? Is it related to hospice diagnosis? See, for example, if your doctor is not a hospice doctor, right? If the doctor is a hospice doctor, he only can do service related to the hospice. Okay, if it is not related to the hospice, you have to add appropriate modifier and we have to send. See, for example, we'll go to this particular workflow. If a patient diagnosis related to hospice, if it is no, you have to add GW modifier and you can bill it. You will come across this particular scenario very often, right? You are working for the billing company or to the doctor who is not a hospice doctor. So you can bill this. And the same doctor, for example, your doctor is giving the treatment related to cancer, but he's not enrolled with as a, or he is not selected as a provider employed. So in that scenario, you can add GV modifier and then you can bill to the Medicare. So this is one trigger on this particular thing. So what we are discussing here is, say for example, what is the difference between provider employed and independent provider? If the provider employed means the patient who selected the doctor as a hospice, right? He is an employed doctor. So when he do any service related to hospice, he has to bill with GV modifier. If anything not related to that, it will become a GW modifier. This is a very important modifier whenever it is coming to a hospice. So the next question will arise, right? Is my doctor is a hospice doctor or not? It's based on the specialty, right? If you are going to work under the hospice specialty, your doctor may be the hospice. If not, majority of the billing, what we are doing here, it is a non-hospice doctors. So this will become a challenge. Or this we need to bill like this. So okay, you understand what is the hospice, right? What is a lean? Okay, how we can implement lean here? What do you mean by lean? It's a waste, right? Avoiding the waste. Say, for example, you're billing the claim to Aetna. Aetna is getting denied saying that patient is a hospice patient. And then what you're doing, you're billing to Medicare. Medicare will deny saying that you didn't add the appropriate modifier. These are all waste, right? It's unnecessary movement is happening in the claim. So in the lean way, what we can do, when the patient is enrolled in hospice, don't work by claim for that particular patient. Take the complete account of the patient and then see that when the patient enrolled in hospice, from that particular date onwards, the way we are billing should be changed, right? And you should understand whether your doctors are related to hospice or non-related to hospice. So for example, you need to bill GW modifier based on the diagnosis code. You finalize this, what kind of diagnosis code we are billing for this patient. Is the diagnosis is related to hospice or non? If you identify that and start working by the patient account, I hope you can do this in a better way and you don't need to do a lot of waste in the bill. Okay, that's about this hospice billing. Okay, I'm open to your question. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask. I'll explain.